We're back, everybody. It's time now for game number 2. As you can probably hear some of the draft in action. We had a TFT win. It was a pretty close one. It wasn't dominant by any means. It was pretty back and forth. It was really anyone's game. It was kind of a fun battle of 2 even drafts, I would say.
Yeah, certainly. It, especially around that 20-minute marker, the game got very interesting. So we head into this draft for the second. I was trying to think a lot about that weird conundrum of like having your 2 supports be so much of your team fight and everyone else is kind of lacking. And so I looked back at some of the other drafts of Chaos Knight, particularly with Alliance, because I feel like they're the best team so far with this 3-position Chaos Knight. And from my perspective anyway, I look at this and I see a lot more active heroes than just Chaos Knight. They have like one active decent team fighter in all their lineups. So they've got Mirana as the other core in the first game. They've got, I would say Weaver is like decently active. I think she almost might be more effective than Drow Ranger in team fights. But they had Zeus as well, and Zeus is a great team fighter. And then the last game they ran an Alchemist strategy, which is obviously a little bit different, just because it's more likely that you're trying to stall out for the Alchemist to be able to really come online. But he obviously has a pretty big impact in team fights as well. So it felt like the combination of like Drow, Chaos Knight, and Storm Spirit, like one of those heroes needs to be able to provide you, like between the Drow and the Storm Spirit, one of those heroes needs to provide you more.
Yeah.
Just more fighting aspect. And I think maybe it's the Drow. Maybe you can't run Drow with this kind of lineup. I'm not sure what it is.
That's kind of the, let's say, as you're kind of running through, kind of the conclusion I came to. Like, I like Drow with Storm. I like Storm with CK, but I don't like the Drow with CK. I think you look at Drow strats, and normally you either go these triple range, crush your lanes, and just kind of snowball strats, or you have this melee team fight offlaner who's more of a big team fighter, not a Chaos Knight. Like, I don't think Drow Wraith King's particularly good with a 3-position Wraith King, but I think Drow with like the Tides is really good because you have this Tide in the front line. He just sits there. He has mech, pipe. Same way Drow with like an Underlord used to be pretty good, but these CKs Wraith King type heroes to me don't mesh that well.
Yeah, it's like they're a frontliner and they can start fights for you, but they're not a team fight winner, right?
Yeah.
Both of, like, I think Wraith King and Chaos Knight are good examples because they both offer you a blink single target stun to start your fight. And I think it's just like not quite enough. I think you need some like really good AoE control or something.
And Storm doesn't actually need that. Like, there's some heroes that need that to like set up and do their and use their spells, but Storm's he's a single target hero that initiates for himself. So it's not like that was something that the Storm benefited from. Drow couldn't really benefit from it because she just wasn't able to team fight. So we'll see different drafts here either way. Some adjusted bans with the Treant getting removed this time around being the main difference. Was Tiny banned last game? Is that the change?
Yes, he was. He was, I think, the very first ban.
Yep.
Actually. The loving this Pugna pickup. Oh man, it's so good. It's good versus Ursa. It's good versus Necrophos. That was a very value pickup. It is unfortunately not a hero that hits Egg very well, but I mean, hey, he can be a good hero if you're bloodlusted, and in general, there are going to be a lot of bloodlusted heroes to be able to hit the Egg. So I think that's just not a problem you have to focus on for sure.
Yeah, they're really liking this Ogre 2 games in a row now after the Phoenix has been picked up. So I think they'll likely pick up another range core as a way of dealing with the Egg, and also just reversing Ursa. Like, those just are naturally going to have a better game. Mirana's even still in the pool if they want to take that approach, although it may not be the kind of hero they necessarily want, since Jonas normally plays in the offlane, it seems.
I've been liking this pickup, Centaur, a lot.
Well, you started that thought before
I just had a good feeling about it, GoDz. What can I say? So I've been feeling really good about the Centaur lately. It's great pickup versus the Pugna. For multiple reasons. Like, you just get on top of the Pugna hero, you've got a lot of magic burst damage, which is good versus Pugna, but it also allows you to be able to disengage against the life drain as well. It felt like we were just watching a Pugna versus Centaur game, and the Pugna just had very little game whatsoever. Even with Ether Lens, you just have so little time to get life drain damage in. Final Tribe, they already have a lot of stuns, though, to be able to work around, and that was one of the downsides of the lineup that we previously saw against Centaur, was that they just didn't have hard lockdown. And so the ultimate, the Stampede, was always effective. So Final Tribe may need to invest a little bit more into that. We'll see what else they need to pick up. Ferzee also reveal, I think, all 3 of their cores before the last pick, which is kind of interesting. Unless it's an Ursa support.
Yeah, and that I guess is possible, but Phoenix Ursa support doesn't sound amazing by any means. But given that now there's a Mirana picked up, it's another hero that kind of kites the Ursa around. It's not looking like an amazing Ursa game from the get-go, but I think the Ursa was picked up largely in response to Tiny, because that is a hero that Ursa does match up very well against.
Yeah.
Very easy to keep up those Fury swipes against him. Mirana, there's your egg killer. We saw it last game. It's fantastic. This time it'll probably be in a different role. I think Pugna's probably more of a 3 position here, but it really
could be Pugna 4 position as well, or Pugna mid against, I guess in this case, Necrophos.
Yeah.
It feels like one of these teams has got to do something weird. I feel like one of them is going to try and get a draft advantage by switching one of these typically core heroes into support.
Yeah.
Just to see if they can eke out the advantage.
Support Mirana. You mentioned you saw that as a Phoenix counter.
Yeah.
Even was it TFT who ran that, or was it a different team?
I'm actually not sure who ran it. Might have been.
It doesn't feel like a great support Mirana game when you don't have an obvious easy setup for the arrows, and they're going to ban Arc Warden, so they're expecting either Pugna or Mirana or even Tiny to be a support here. TFT have 3 cores that can all be run as supports. As we'll see what Ferzee want to be last picking themselves. Interesting.
Damn it, who did it? I'm like searching through all these games and I'm not finding...
It was over the last couple of days of this tournament.
Yeah, it was.
Might not. Maybe it's on the ticket or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there are a couple games missing from the ticker, so it might have been one of the other non-European teams.
Okay, last bans coming in. Alchemist removed. Have TFT been picking Meepo? Because that was banned out in the middle stage. Have you seen Meepos?
No Meepos yet.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a very good, viable hero right now. Seeing it kind of on the rise. Meepo stock definitely rising. Dark Willow for TFT. Whoops, I mean not Dark Willow. Who knows what it's going to be? So used to the cast. I see a pick. Oh, let's just, say the hero I just saw.
Hey, another hero. High base attack speed. Against the Phoenix Egg, a hero that doesn't have to worry about the Ursa, is able to allow his allies to be able to disengage or draw distance from the Centaur and the Ursa, terrorize, brambles, all those sorts of things. So
feels like he has a solution for like all the cores in different ways. Like
yeah.
Kiting the Ursa, magic damage against Necro, control for the Centaur and the Stampede and all that.
So it's going to... It looks like it's going to be Ferzee who will do the twist in their draft with this last big Templar Assassin, and they are going to be running an Ursa support.
Yeah, so Mirana's going to get dumpstered by a TA mid, right? Like I feel like that's how that lane goes.
Yeah.
If you send, I feel like you don't send Mirana mid at this point. Probably Tiny or something.
Which matchup is better, Tiny?
Is Jesse
Pugna doesn't do too well either.
Yeah.
Very similar to Mirana.
Is Jesse playing Tiny, so I guess he's usually in the mid lane.
Yeah.
And Frost, Safe Flame Mirana. Saw that a lot in SEA. When we're casting a lot of the SEA games at Dream League, and it was these Safe Flame Miranas, like every single game we're just crushing it. Particularly with heroes like Ogre. I feel like the Ogre with the Mirana really just enables her to be that much more effective in these early fights. Have a easy setup for arrows.
What if you send Era in the mid lane? Early on at all for the Ignite harassment against the Templar Assassin.
Yep.
Or if it's even necessary. Because Tiny with his initial trees usually wins his CS for the first minute or two.
Yeah, I don't think Tiny struggles at the start. I don't actually know if Tiny struggles at all in that 1v1. Maybe it's fine for Tiny.
It's like normally Tiny has a problem with physical damage, but the side blades are a pure damage, right? Pretty sure.
I'm like, what?
Something like that.
Pure
I think
damage?
something about the fact that they.
I assume they were physical, but I don't know. I think the last time I played TA in a pub was probably over a year ago. I played first TA, but
I think they operate like Cleave in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damage pure.
There you
Nice. We don't need Kevin. We don't need Purge to know mechanics.
we take Kevin off and
We're good players.
phew. Whew. So here we go. That's on us, or the voices you're hearing.
You don't want to try on your Russian accent, GoDz?
I'm gonna offend a lot of viewers. I think if I do that. They said,
They're not watching the stream anyway. They're watching they're watching Droog and Versuta.
Yeah. 5 years ago, we got to be a lot more offensive as casters. These days, gotta be careful. But here we go. What lane's we looking at? Looks like Chessie does have mid items on the Tiny. 0 armor. Bit sad for him, but like you say, pure damage. Not going to get completely crushed by the side blades. And ferzee not just switching up some of their last picks, but also their lanes a bit. They're going to send Centaur to the safe lane. Feeling that they want to have him matching up against the Pugna, I guess? I don't know. Wondering what the idea is behind this. Or maybe they're just looking to pressure down bottom. Like they've got this Necrophos, who's one of the best kind of laning cores in the game, and that's a hero that will win you most lanes wherever he goes.
Would Centaur be fine against a Mirana safe lane?
I feel like that's who you like. If you're in the Centaur shoes, you're like, I want to lane versus Mirana, if anything. You'd rather that matchup than the Pugna, but maybe they're feeling like they want the Necro tri-lane down there. Hard to say. Definitely, there is some benefit. If you're going to tri-lane, as it seems they might be, there's some benefit. You want to do that offensively, use those side pulls, and pressure the enemy safe laner, Frost, more so than you care about pressuring Yonason fan on the Pugna.
Yeah. So the Ursa that we're seeing here is a lot different than I think the support Ursa that I've been seeing in NA. I think he's literally a 1-to-1 matchup against the Ogre. Yeah. He's literally just going to Ogre tries to play very forward in lane and use Ignite and Fire Blast and harass the core, and Ursa's just going to meet him and go, you may have a lot of armor, but I have Fury Swipes, and we're going to start racking up damage pretty quickly if we keep on doing battle.
Yep. And that's exactly where Ursa's kind of found himself down bottom where the Ogre is. Phoenix is just going to TP top, was hoping for a Curious Knight, but I feel like I've seen every single Phoenix player doing this over the last few weeks. Just waiting for a Courier, it sits in by the tier 3s, and then Phoenix TPs to whichever lane he's going to, and then the Courier comes out. So no luck on the Curious Knight, if you could call it luck.
The Dark Willow isn't really going to be helpful out too much in this top lane between the Centaur and Phoenix. And there are some things, like I listed all the good things about the Dark Willow, but there are a decent number of bad things for Dark Willow in this game as well. There's a lot of AoE control, the slow from Ursa, the stun from Centaur. There's the Necrophos and Phoenix who just put out AoE damage. So Hanskin is definitely going to have to play a little bit farther, like a little bit more conservative in his positioning when it comes to his team fights. And a lot of like forward position Dark Willows will play super aggressive around the map because they always have that Shadow Realm to fall back on. Not sure if Hans can really do that in this game.
Yeah. Dark Willow's kind of a hero that every time it's picked up, I feel like, just praise it for how it's good against stuff, but it's because it does so much as a hero.
Yeah.
It's got a stun, an AoE stun at that. It's got a root. It's got this big magic damage burst, terrorize. It's like every game that Dark Willow can be picked, it's like it's going to counter something or several things on the other side. But like you mentioned, like there's always those downsides which are perhaps talked about less with the hero. But we'll see how it works out, and definitely a hero that takes quite a bit of practice and talent to play. Not a hero you can just pick up.
Thank you.
Maybe Dark Willow play?
I love Dark Willow.
There you go.
I think she's a really interesting hero.
I had her on my cavern and quickly learned that I suck at Dark Willow.
I know how to balance Dark Willow too. Okay. The biggest problem with her right now is Terrorize is 4 seconds long.
Yeah.
That duration at level 1 for a hero that has 2 ultimates is insane. It actually makes a hero. If that was not a 4-second AoE, like stun, fear, whatever that interaction. You know, like if it wasn't that, then I think Dark Willow would actually be pretty weak. Because right now, she's a weak laner, and laning supports are very important, right? Like, think about Willow in lane. She, like, maybe lands Brambles on somebody, or Shadow Realm hits somebody every once in a while. But compared to, like, a Wyvern or something, like, your harassment potential, your control in lane, they are dramatically overshadowed by so many other supports.
Well, I would say the Brambles level 1 damage, I think it got nerfed in the recent patch, maybe. That used to be pretty insane. Like, that you hit this, it roots people and does a lot of damage. Mid lane, Chessie has a rotation. Remember, will find the first blood on Alpha Ninja. Nicely done. I think the one other thing I'd say about the fear and the terrorize is that I feel like Ice Rock added this mechanic and didn't really consider it to be like worse than a stun, but pro players are so good that they've learned how to use fear as a mechanic in Dota, basically as a stun. Like Lone Druid when it was first out, it was like, okay, you're getting gone on, you use fear to run away. But now it's like people use it offensively to set up kills better than ever.
Oh yeah, when you like aggressively smoke onto the enemy side of the map and you get a terrorize and the enemy team runs into you, because you wrapped around and got position on a high ground or something, they run into you, and oh, that's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. Well, here we go. Lane stage, slowly moving on. Pretty much all the core heroes are farming pretty well, other than perhaps notably the TA, I would say, as far as losing the mid lane, getting killed now as well, and down 10 CS against Tiny. So yeah, definitely not a bad matchup for Chessie by any means, as he's having a great time on the mid Tiny. Side lanes, TFT's other cores not doing amazingly well in the Mirana Pugna, but also not really getting crushed in their lanes. Necro is kind of the one hero you don't really expect to win the lane against him as a core.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Centaur he must have brought like a lot of regen up to this top lane. Because he has Ring of Health, he just has another 5 tangos left.
Bounty Rune fights going on.
Oh, ooh.
That wouldn't have not have been enough damage, right?
Yeah.
He had 185 health. Should have been fine.
Did they get the bottom rooms? I'm sure they did. King R, yeah, picked them both up. How are you, like as an ogre, how are you going to contest the support Ursa for the bounty runes, especially when the Necrophos has pushed the lane into your tower?
No. Yeah, he's not able to do all too much there, so we'll see what the next move is going to be for these two teams. Not really a whole lot of rotation potential. We saw the Ogre rotating earlier on the mid lane, but Alpha Ninja just looking to kind of farm here. Whew.
So you're not going to see it on screen. Oh, you will at the very end. Really good arrow from Frost that lands on King R. He does not back out into the jungle, but tries to play it cheap and just cut across to the right-hand side. Really good arrow. Gets a pick off on that Ursa.
You're selling me on this terrible observing. You know, it's been solid.
It's been solid so far. Just you wait until there's like a throne race and they back out of the normal view and they do some sort of cinematic view of the throne and you can't see any stats or anything. Okay. Then you're gonna lose your mind, GoDz.
They did a great job last game showing the split push. Like when Drow was, I didn't even realize that split push was going on. I'm just casually sitting back, casting, watching the observe thing, and then suddenly it's like, oh, split push is happening. Good, this is great. But I eagerly look forward to some of the faux pas that sound like they're coming.
Afterlife, really well done in CS, and he's going to have a fast hitter Defiance. But again, I think he's just funneling regen to himself because Pugna is such a good harassment hero. I've been playing a lot of Pugna lately. Love the hero because it just pressures safe lane cores so much. Fortunately, Centaur can seem to deal with that. Early Ring of Health, fast Total Defiance.
He's gone for 3 points in stun. I feel like this is the one build I have not seen on Centaurs. Normally it's, you know, the typical 1-3-1 max your double edge, or what I've seen more of from some of the Centaur players in Southeast Asia bit was maxing your, or getting several points in return.
Oh, really?
As like a value farming option and just more, you don't want it against Pugna, but if he was laying against Mirana, you go like at least a second point in return.
So I've actually... started playing Centaur after TI, after I saw OG play with it. And that was the one thing I noticed is that Mad would always go maxed out Stomp.
Okay.
And it feels a lot better. When you actually do it, it feels you're a lot more effective as a Centaur because you're less of a, I go in and just kill myself off of double edge. Now, Hoof Stomp becomes like a really viable early nuke for you that doesn't require you to die when you get a successful blinking.
Yeah.
You know? And then you get the later levels of double edge, sure, but at that point you've at least got the levels to back it up because your strength gain is so good, right? 4.3 per level.
And the double edge level 1 value point is just that. It's 175 damage. It only goes up by 75 each level after that. So
yeah.
that 1 point does a lot for you. We'll see F Ninja. He's kind of catching up. Not really. This is definitely not looking like a great TA game. This is a hero that normally snowballs with some good farm. Top bounty rune. Not a bounty rune, but there's a bit of a fight going on over where it normally is. As Centaur is going to look for Handskin here. Doesn't actually have the chase potential without using Stampede, which he will commit here. Can he get this kill with the second double edge? He will. There's the value point in action, as they'll trade support for support up top. Not the biggest exchange as Phoenix and Dark Willow go down. So Phoenix still level 3 here. Vanscore having a bit of a rough time.
Era just camping out in the mid lane while the Tiny goes back and heals up. Our Templar Assassin has a lot of stacks available to him. This is something that Vanscore has put some effort into. Stacked up this medium camp, stacked up the Ancients as well. So FO should be able to really start boosting forward, but it also means Chessie is free to move around and gank at this time, and we're going to see if he can be more effective than the Templar Assassin is at farming, basically.
Yeah, he still has a bit of a ways to go to his Blink Dagger, but he doesn't care. He's already ganking. He finds the support Ursa here. Perhaps not the biggest kill, but it's a kill nonetheless, and without Ursa having level 6, there's definitely no way out for that, and that'll be pretty straightforward for them.
I think this is one of the biggest difference between pro cores and like pub players right now is the fact that these pro cores will always rotate out of their lane, whether it's the safe lane or the mid. One of them rotate out and free up space for their support to start collecting experience to make up, because supports actually get so experience starved lately. Like you're seeing more often than not at 10 minutes in, there's at least one support in the game that's like level 3, you know?
And that is exaggerated in pub games. I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, so I think it really helps that Chessie is able to make this rotation and give Era some time in the mid lane, especially since these Ogres are more effective with levels than they used to be because of the maxed out Fire Blast build that's happening. Maxing out Ignite and getting levels, like, it actually doesn't change a whole lot, but if you max out Fire Blast and get levels so you can get multicast, that does change the hero significantly.
Yeah. Well, it's Ogre almost level 6 already. We're 10.5 minutes in, but I believe the Experience Tomb is available, although that one's going to be going to the Dark Willow, who wants to hit level 6. Who's a good level away from it, but we'll get that with the Tome. Alpha Ninja continuing to look for his catch-up. Dire Side are leading a bit on gold here, as they won't connect on the Phoenix up top. You can see the 3 Dire cores particularly ahead of the Radiant ones. That's where a lot of the net worth difference is, while their supports, the Phoenix particularly, kind of struggling a bit, but not the end of the world. That's just Phoenix things. Has the Experience Tome, although even that won't get him quite to level 6 right now.
Why didn't Hanskin throw Brambles? That's supposed to be your play. Phoenix can't really play around Brambles, because the dive will push you into a Bramble, and then you're going to get arrowed from there. It's weird that he starts off with that other stun.
They're still going to fight Vanscore. Level 3 Phoenix didn't have a TP. He goes kind of trapped out there, and it looks like TFT knew that he didn't have a TP because they went chasing in. We'll get the tower, so you're going to some fam on the Pugna, getting his first tower of the game. And
I'm sorry. I can see 10 seconds in the future, and hopefully Vanscore's dead again.
Oh, no.
You're talking about that kill, and I literally look at my screen, and I'm watching Vanscore die.
Oh, no.
So he just died back to back.
He just respawned, he popped the Tome, didn't hit level 6, TP'd into lane, insta-died, and now he's got a minute without a TP.
Yeah.
Not
Not a good life.
See, his team is not giving him that lane. He's had to jungle, stack for the TA, and then he doesn't get given a lane. I don't know what the lane... I'd probably say mid is the lane to take while TA farms the jungle. Has anyone been taking mid during that time? It's like they gave Ursa lane. You can normally give one support a lane, but not both, is kind of the problem.
Yeah. I think Necrophos abandons top because it's so dangerous, and they leave the Phoenix there to collect the experience, but he so quickly gets chased out by Final Tribe. And that is, I think, just a good read from Final Tribe, acknowledging the fact that they're trying to leave a support there to just soak experience. Just root him out. Find him, take him out, make sure he doesn't actually get those free level 6.
Fight breaking up bottom lane as Afterlife goes flying on in, hits the Centaur stun here. They haven't really got the damage, and they do not have a Supernova here. They're going to need TA and Necrophos if they want to get this kill. They get the first. Necro still has ultimate, but can't find a target because of the Moonlight Shadow. So just an Ogre kill with quite a big commitment coming out from the Dire side there in terms of ultimates being used. Some fam remaining top. Wow, he's almost got this tier 2. So you leave him alone, and he'll do just that. Just feels like the Dire side are limited in what they can do. This Central Blink gives them some playmaking now, but like this double hood, the TA goes for a blink as well, so they need to start. If you're going to go these double blinks, it feels like you do need to start taking some fights, making some plays happen.
Yeah, you certainly shouldn't be letting a solo Pugna take your tier 2. That should just not happen, especially considering how effective Stampede is being able to catch the Pugna anyway. You didn't even need Blink to be able to catch him. So I think they just overestimated how much Final Tribe was going to commit to this top lane. Right? They brought 4 heroes up there to take the tier 1 tower, and then I think they, whether through maybe lack of vision or something, they just assumed that there was still 2 or 3 heroes up here, but Yonosafan has actually been alone for quite some time. Final Tribe, I think part of the problem is ferzee is still operating on the fact that their supports just don't have the levels. The Phoenix doesn't have a supernova yet, so they're not being as aggressive as probably they could be.
And even if Ursa gets the levels, it's like, well, he's still an Ursa.
He's still a support Ursa. Yeah. That guy doesn't, yeah. It's only the Phoenix who's really going to have impact from the support aspect of things in team fights. This Ursa, 4-position Ursa is, well, he has to dominate the laning phase to look good. And if he doesn't, then you begin to wonder why you picked this hero.
Yeah, let's say, is there like a plan B for not, because they haven't dominated the lane stage. They're pretty even. They're in an okay place right now, but then you, like you say, you look at the fact you have a support Ursa, and it's kind of like, well, what's his plan now? He's transitioned into a core, it looks like. He's going to farm a blink. He's going to be, I mean, he doesn't have great targets to go in this game. Like, there's Decrep, there's Mirana Leaps, Dark Willow's annoying with Shadow Realm. Definitely not an easy game to play Ursa as a core or support. We'll see the bottom tier 1 tower push coming from ferzee. They're trying to use these blink daggers, but they go blinking away. TA's like, I don't want any of this, and now it's actually Daxic on the Necro left alone. And Hanska just goes charging in. That's the rotation from TFT.
Aether Lens Decrepify is actually a great way to initiate fights because it sets up the Bramble for a Hanskin, and then they're just stuck getting life drained constantly.
Yeah. And that's with the hood as well. Like, I guess he's got a 4-staff queued up. That makes sense. I think that's kind of the only real response to a play like that is you need a way out of the life drain and away from the Dark Willow, and 4-staff is probably the best way to do that. Could see even like a Lotus Orb picked up this game on Necro.
Part of the reason Final Tribe looks good right now is in part, this is just what Pugna does, is that he wins his laning phase and then he net worth boosts himself by taking these towers, and he gets these really early items. He's got Aether Lens and Arcane Boots already, and so he just looks really strong. But if ferzee can manage to win a fight, they will get a lot of gold back in return. They'll get a lot of space as well for their Templar Assassin. I mean, net worth basically even, and they're 2 towers down.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as last game in some ways, but the other side where it's like this one team just taking all these towers and objectives, getting ahead through that. They are getting kills as well, but they're not really playing the flash farm game that the TA is playing. That even like Centaur's just been playing much more farming, pushing a lane. But they are getting big kills. That's the Necro dying twice in a row. He just respawned, immediately goes to lane, and Pugna was set up in the trees for the same play you mentioned. You decrep into Bramble while you're life draining, and it's just this constant life drain that destroys you. But Roshan for ferzee gets him an Aegis on TA. They are going to get this TA Blink Deso timing with Aegis pretty early on this game. Issue is doing something with it, because again, the Decrep, the Pugna in general as a hero is going to be very problematic for them.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, right? Like, the only thing this Blink Dagger has done for him in this entire game so far was he blinked out of the gank at bottom lane. That's the only thing it's done. Everything else, Deso would have been more effective for him so far. Like, for example, taking that Roshan would have taken a lot less time. Just farming rotations occur a lot faster when you have that Deso. So I thought that ferzee was going to get really aggressive with their TA Centaur duo. And they were going to bring the Phoenix along for the ride just in case there was multiple heroes and they had to pop a supernova. But they don't really seem to be doing that. Afo is still playing like he went a Desolator build and is just continually going through neutrals.
Yeah. They've not been able to put together any kind of string of play that's looked promising in terms of team fight just yet, and it's TFT once again playing the aggressors. They're Moonlight shutting up. They look threatening. They're moving out of the map. They're against an Aegis, and they look scary right now. We'll see if that is in fact the case. Chezzy gets gone on and actually blown up. That's much better from ferzee, who utilized their blinks to get a good initiation off. Alpha Ninja is going to be forced back by the life drain as well as the Cursed Crown, and they'll get the 1 kill, but it's still a pretty important one, and a tower deny as well. And initially, TFT Moonlight shadowing in. It looked like they were going to be the ones to get a jump there, but once they don't find a jump and they reveal themselves in the mid lane, it kind of allows ferzee to utilize those blinks to get a clean initiation and a clean pickoff.
Yeah, apparently they're waiting on the 3rd blink dagger for their team before they really took a fight and defended a tower. King R showing that one off. Now it seems like they're probably just going to continue to stay aggressive. They just smoked in that mid lane, are heading towards top, towards the Mirana. Yep. This will just buy a lot of space for Daxic as the Necrophos to try and pull ahead, as he is a bit behind, not like by a dramatic amount behind some of the other cores, like the Mirana and Tiny, but right now he's sitting at like, what, 6th net worth in total? So
it feels like a game where Necro is going to need quite a bit in terms of items to stay alive.
Yeah.
It's not like this, okay, you've got Ghost Shroud +1, you're good, you're unkillable. Stampede was used, they'll find error. Quick little support kill. But hey, it's a Centaur Ursa killing him, so you don't feel all too bad about that. And I think you are okay kind of turning this into a bit more of a farmy game if you're on the Dire side. Get these necessary items up. And I feel like that's the way you got to play. Like, Pugna as a hero is kind of countered a lot by items, like 4 staffs, BKBs. His early game is that dominant that you need to farm those key items before you can really take him head on. Yeah,
I would definitely agree with that. So the fact that they conceded some of the early towers, I guess, isn't the worst thing in the world. Final Tribe, I think, are reading kind of this slower pace, though, and they are spending a lot of time jungling themselves between Chessie and Frost, who are both completing some important items. They're both kind of farming items as well as fighting items in the Maelstrom and the Echo Saber for Chessie.
Yep. See if that allows TFT to do too much more. They're still fighting into this Aegis for another minute and a half here, and it does look like Aphaninge is set up to take this tier 1 mid tower, unless TFT want to swoop on in to fight this one, but it seems like they're more interested in split pushing. That tier 2 tower top is still very, very low from earlier on, as we'll see if Jonas can bring that one down. TP in top. Centaur wants to defend it, though. Could be set up to strike. They're going to TP in Ursa as well. King R is there, but he gets stunned on the rotation on in. Looks like Pugna actually gets perhaps bailed out because of that. Centaur used the stun, didn't have any follow-up. He's thinking, I'm TPing in, I'm going to have my teammates TPing there with me and we'll get this kill, but no follow-up stuns. Ursa's blink got cancelled.
Yeah, if you're starting that fight by yourself as the Centaur, I think you have to start off with Stampede and then basically try and keep pace and hold on to your hoof stomp. So
yeah.
It's a small mistake that you don't really think about too much, but...
Or like Necro needs to be the one, I guess, TPing since he is the Reaper as the other stun.
Yeah. That is a good point, is that they haven't brought Necrophos into any of these fights. Like, maybe he was there to defend mid, but I haven't seen a Reaper Scythe yet.
I don't think there's been one.
And he's got level 2 of it, so... it's just like a weird tempo that ferzee took to this game, where like they didn't actually try and fight anything. Then they got Roshan. Then they blew like 3 smokes in a row trying to find kills. And at that point in time, Final Tribe just did a really great job of reading, like, hey, they've got Aegis, they want to fight, they have these blink daggers, and they just played very passive and split up. And like the Mirana would play the side of the map and then get into the trees, and she's naturally a hard hero to kill anyway. You spend half the time in the trees as well, and on the side of the map, and it just becomes that much harder for ferzee to find something. So it feels like everything the Final Tribe's doing and their mix-up of pace makes sense to me. ferzee, it feels like very rough. You know, this is not smooth travels for them.
And none of their the plays they're trying to make are connecting very well. Like, they're being pulled around the map. The split push from TFT seems to be getting a decent amount of farm across 3 cores, whereas for ferzee it's like, oh, they kind of respond to it and then they're not getting kills. They are maintaining a lead, though, just solely off of the back of Alpha Ninja and his farm on TA. He has accelerated and is massive. The fact he got this Aegis has been on farm the entire map. He's been farming enemy Ancients, enemy jungle, pushing out lanes aggressively. No one keeps up with him on TFT's side.
And that is the super impressive part. To be that far ahead in net worth off of neutering. I mean, I guess Final Tribes just don't really have a core that farms super efficiently off of neutrals, but
yeah, I think
this is gigantic. He's got BKB already.
Yeah, I think it's largely just the TA and what the hero does, and like you say, TFT not having a hero to match that. If they had, you know, the Lunas, Anti-Mages, Troll type heroes, they would have at least a hero close to the TA's net worth. I think TFT wanted to kind of prioritize more finding kills in early fights, but they haven't been able to do that in large part due to these Sages being picked up. So Alpha Ninja going to play the bottom lane, but mid lane, we'll head over there. Necros just goes first, Reaper kill the game. So Daxik takes out Chessie from the game as the egg will not quite go off. It was close there as Daxik going to look to turn, maybe fight some more, has the Stampede to help him out. That gets him out of the life drain and should save his life. And even if this remains a 1-for-1 trade, ferzee will be very happy considering the tiny kill with a Reaper puts him on the sidelines for 80-90 seconds. And they're not done, perhaps. They're still playing around this middle lane as King R finds the Willow, gets the slow off. Is there any follow-up here? Ursa's about to be stunned up, and yep, there's Afterlife. Finishes off the kill.
It's quite the confident move there to pop your Enrage early against a Dark Willow of all heroes. Because usually you want to wait because of Cursed Crown to always hold on to that Enrage, but he just tries to burst the Dark Willow, and he has the confidence that they're so strong at this point with so many Blink Daggers and such that his team will be able to follow him up. And you can see how that Pugna just feels like he doesn't have much of a game when it comes to going on these heroes because of that Stampede.
There's a lot of heroes that can just get right on top. Ursa TA, even though they're heroes that get countered by Decrep, at the same time they feel okay in terms of just getting on top of Pugna and doing crazy burst damage, which is what you need against Pugna with Life Drain. So there's a Aeon Disc queued up on Pugna. I think that's one of those items that can always help in those situations, but it's got all these other small items, Aether Lens, Veil, Force Staff, so it will be not a quick build up towards that item. Let's see. Fight brewing down here in the bottom lane. Arrow gets jumped on, quickly bursted down by this Ursa Centaur duo. They dodge the arrow as well, but here comes Hanskin on the Dark Willow once. King Eye, is there anything to cancel this TP out? He's just going to enrage TP. They get out. They're just playing this pickoff game. Find a kill. Doesn't really matter if it's a core or support. Get out. Go from there. And keep on farming. TA is just getting further and further ahead of everyone this game. Centaur. Blue. Getting gone on down bottom. Can he find his way out of this one with a Stampede from the trees? He still needs to find the blink out, and he does do so, so he's going to get out. Scott free? Nope, he's hit by a 5-second arrow. Unfortunate for poor Afterlife.
Man, he's so tanky too, but the combination of Cursed Crown and Arrow sucks pretty badly for him to deal with. Still, though, it's at least space to be created. Templar Assassin is still moving around the map, now has that level 20 talent. So, Refraction dispelling out Cursed Crown.
This is one of those talents that very rarely comes out on TA, I feel, but this is definitely a game to get it.
Yeah.
I feel like most TAs, you get to level 20 and you're like, is this a game for the Refraction dispels? No. And then you just get the other one. But this time...
Yeah, 3 different things, right? Ignite, Cursed Crown, I guess Brambles,
so 4?
And then Decrepify.
Yeah. Not bad.
He's going to go for an early Orchid. Which is kind of a cool idea, just because you're going to get, what, Aeon Disc on Pugna, that'll deal with it, and then Manta on Mirana, but Frost isn't building a Manta right now.
Yeah, and
he's already shown it.
Even Jonas is, I guess he's close to an Aeon Disc if he disassembles his Arcane Boots, but it could still be a useful way of just forcing out that Aeon Disc going on him regardless. Yeah. All these heroes, like so many of these heroes have escape spells, even the supports. There's a Dark Willow solo split pushing. If you're a TA, you blink, you meld him, he insta Shadow Realm TPs. You can't really stop that. So I think it does feel like, I guess the alternative is you get a Hex, which would have been similar in what it achieves.
I wonder at what point, because Final Tribe definitely need to be able to initiate team fights because of the problem with Stampede. Like, they need to make sure they get a hard lockdown in, get a good terrorize off afterwards to follow it up. So I wonder at what point, what they're waiting for before they finally go for like some actual smoke you know, 4 or 5 man pushes to try and force a team fight, because they're only split pushing at this point in time.
Yeah, they're split pushing. They're just they're using Moonlight Shadow very casually there to just farm a bit and just play a bit safer. Unfortunately, not safe is this Radiant jungle. There's an Observer Ward. There's traps. ferzee have full control over that area as they'll head into the Roshan as well. There was one about promo codes. What do they do, Cap?
They will give you either some Secret Shop items, as well as the potential to win a Gaming Predator Series laptop, or Predator Series gaming laptop. That's how Kevin said it should go.
They'll give you a chance. They will not guarantee.
No. WePlay.tv/codes.
Yeah. Cool. Head on over there, guys. Fill those out. Back into the game. Centaur leading the way. They've secured themselves another Aegis and a cheese as well to go with it. Is that on... No, not Necro. Looks like Centaur is going to hold on to that one. Necro playing kind of very independent. Just he's the one dealing with the split push. I guess at some point somebody has to address the split push, and they've decided Necro is most suited to it, which I kind of think is probably the case. He's the hero that doesn't have the greatest kill potential. And Centaur TA are the ones that can, find these pickoffs together.
I like the trap they set for this Necrophos.
Yeah.
They make sure they bring 2 stunners with them. So there's no way that he's just going to be able to stampede, walk away from Jonas Van anymore.
Yeah. Well, he goes down. I was just saying how he's maybe the one to be split pushing, dealing with the split push. But the nature of TA is if you're playing on your side of the map, dealing with split pushes, you don't feel great about the game. You don't feel like you're progressing.
Yeah, you want to be on the enemy side of the map, both for the opportunity for the pickoffs, but as well as like taking away enemy ancients and stuff like that. It just negates farm for the enemy team. As he is now 7,000 gold ahead of the second place of both Tiny and Pugna.
He may just be able to solo carry this game. It's still a TA. It's not one of those crazy late game carries. Does have her weaknesses in the late game.
Yeah, she's one of the most like fragile of carries in the late game, right? It's just like one disable and you're going to get popped at the right time. It feels like, I feel like playing against TA and playing against Tinker are kind of same, where, especially with the Templar Assassin traps, like split pushing out the map if you go the level 20 talent, but also just the fact that like both the heroes feel very scary in that regard, but you pick them off once and the game just turns on a dime all of a sudden.
Right now, it doesn't feel like that's the case for Alpha Ninja, that there's a big threat of him dying, but it definitely comes a bit later on.
Yeah, and I think that's why Final Tribe are so focused on just trying to draw the game out.
Yeah. They've got this much better balance between their 3 cores in terms of their overall farm. I just feel like they're not really feeling like they're not like feeling desperate or pressured to make these big plays. They're happy just to, let this game kind of continue with the current status quo. It's ferzee, though, who perhaps with this Aegis and Cheese want to go make something happen. They've got 2 minutes left with the Aegis, so getting to that point where it's like, if you want to go with the Aegis, you probably want to do it soon. But seeing, these Radiant heroes back and the split push up top, they may just have to kind of forgo pushing high ground. They don't even have the Phoenix with them. It's just this constant TFT split push. And Dire, their lockdown, their catch is not the greatest. Perhaps that changes with Alpha Ninja. He's just about to finish his Orchid Nullifier.
Yeah, the full mute silence combo. Very tough to be able to deal with. Great pickoff potential on just one hero.
Definitely strong, as we'll see some of that pickoff potential being shown, not by those items, but just by the Ursa and TA jumping an Ogre, but it's an Ogre. He's number 10 on net worth, and he's the least of their worries.
Like how Jonas Van wasn't even phased by the fact they were fighting mid. He just continues to push out top. He gets aggressive on the Phoenix, managed to force him into a Supernova, which is fantastic. And he stays there in that lane even a little bit longer.
He's done more damage to the tier 3 than ferzee have mid, even just with a couple blasts. But ferzee looking to change that. They're pushing down mid lane now. Alpha Ninja in the front. He's got that Aegis in hand. And is looking to chip at the tier 3. Actually,
nice.
Finds the kill. Alpha Ninja gets thrown in. That's the Aegis down. Will TA be okay on the respawn here? TA has the blink out nice and quick on that one, and Tiny was actually deleted. Very good outcome for ferzee, even though they lose the Aegis. That was towards the end of the Aegis anyways. Push not quite over yet. ferzee still lingering around this area. Can they sustain this one? Blink Hoofstomp lands as Frost leaps away, though, so he's in a bit of a safer place as a result. The arrow going to hit Afterlife as well, and Tia just goes blinking and takes on Hanskin. Avalanche just destroying him. That was the Orchid Nullifier in play. Not that he necessarily needed the Nullifier against the Dark Willow. The Orchid alone was enough, and they get a couple kills out of it. Aegis used, and I think they'll be pretty happy with that and just, you know, sit back, keep farming until third Roshan.
Yeah, certainly. I think it's weird how that last kill, it almost feels a little bad for ferzee just because he had to commit his BKB in order to get that kill, and then at that point in time you can no longer go for high ground damage. Yeah. So that part's a bit unfortunate, but I think you're right. Like, there's no need to concern yourself with that too much just because ferzee can play for yet another Roshan. They are beginning to top out. Like, if this game is another 10 minutes in and they haven't taken the racks yet, then I'm going to start getting a big concern. Only for our Templar Assassin, just because she's reaching her ceiling so quickly in this game. She is almost going to be 6-slotted by like 38, 40 minutes, I would guess, and he's going to be level 25 like fairly quickly, probably in the next 2 or 3 minutes.
It's kind of like the Alchemist problem sometimes, where it's like you get 5, 6 slot, and if you're not winning the game there, it's like you can quickly fall off.
Yeah,
and you don't want that game to continue dragging out. At the same time, the other side, TFT's draft, I don't look at their draft and think, oh yeah, that's their draft. If they get late game, is really scary.
Yeah.
Obviously it gets easier to deal with the TA, and they're going to be able to close in on that farm difference between them and the TA. But it doesn't feel like their lineup just straight up wins late game on hero matchups.
For sure, especially since you have such potent team fight potential with ferzee as their Phoenix as well as their Centaur start scaling upwards. Once they get the Aghanim Scepter, and once they get like just not even items, but just level 18 on Phoenix or level 20 as well, which are big upgrades. I think that team fight opportunity is, I mean, it's very simple, right? You just make sure you hit your R buttons. Meanwhile, on the side of Final Tribe, one of their big team fighters is the Dark Willow. And there's a lot of ways that Terrorize, which is probably your biggest ability for a 5-on-5, that can go wrong, right? Mm-hmm. Like just straight up BKBs or heroes that are fast enough thanks to Stampede to outrun. Or even you just terrorize them, but maybe Centaur's not in it, so he stampedes. And everybody runs away really quickly, so you don't actually get the initiation you were hoping for.
Yeah. And I'd say on ferzee's side, the other thing going for them is they've got a 4 position who's actually scaling pretty nicely here. 8.5k net worth. King R has Blink Basher. This gives them some pick-off and catch that they were kind of lacking in the past. If you can get that, ideally, insta-bashes when you go blinking in with your overpower. Gives you ways to deal with some of these split pushes that can be annoying. Has BKB queued up, so I mean they'll have BKBs on several heroes. They'll have Lotus Storm with a Necro. They have Stampede that you mentioned. It does make this game get a bit easier for them as time goes on. Although they still struggle to push. That is definitely been not a big issue, but been a downside of their lineup so far. TFT's been able to just kind of stall it out and get their core items themselves.
It's so weird that, like, maybe that 5 minutes of window that Final Tribe gave to ferzee when they picked up that Aegis and they were just constantly split pushing, not really trying to take any engagement, maybe they were wrong to do that. Maybe they actually just gave too much time for a Templar Assassin to, because once the Aegis was gone, like, they had BKB on TA with Blink and Deso. Like, you also didn't want to fight into that, and they were like, damn, like, now maybe that hero's still too strong. And now it's from here on out for the rest of the game almost, it's going to be, like, you're always going to have to re-examine and go, like, are we actually ever going to be stronger than them?
I think the one hero, like, to that point that you look at is, like, the Tiny, who had that one nice rotation pre-Blink Dagger bottom, and he's actually being very quiet the rest of this game. And he's the one who had this early Blink timing. You normally think of, like, which hero is going to take over the mid-game. You think, well, Tiny gets his Blink. He just goes around setting up kills, setting up team fights for his team, and he got that Blink around when that Aegis was picked up. Yeah. And it feels like he's like, oh, they have Aegis, got to just farm.
They never, like, tried to get in there and, like, take the TA, like, ancient stacks. They never tried to get a good smoke gank on her.
Yep. Here we go, Dire smoke up. Who are they going to find? There we go. They get vision of Tiny, instantly jump him with King Ira as well. And the Necro ultimate going to seal the deal here. Frost needs to leap away from this egg. Use 2 of them. Get himself back to safety. That's 100+ seconds of Tiny down. May set them up to go for a mid lane push. They did commit the egg though. Expecting perhaps a bigger team fight.
Now it's going to be tough. Final Tribe need to make sure they get a good initiation and then buy back on the Tiny and ensure they get a team fight. They need to actually make sure they catch ferzee.
Yep. Well, Ninja takes out the tier 3 tower, uses that refraction to dispel off the Cursed Crown. I think also the Lotus Orb helping out as well. They have Phoenix. Well, the buyback from Tiny doesn't lead to a kill immediately, and Phoenix somehow dives his way out of there, and King R going back in with Ninja's support. Gets decrept up. That's going to kind of help him get out of there a little bit. Ninja's popped his BKB. Can't find a good target to go on, though, so they're kiting this TA well. They've only lost a tier 3 tower. Full retreat now for ferzee, who will manage to get the blink out on Templar Assassin.
Oh, look at it. They're smoking up just to try and get a reinitiation and catch up to this enemy team.
They really want to take this fight here. Vanskar on the Phoenix. Sunray on over. Doesn't look like he's going to dive. He will be brought down. Just a Phoenix kill, but at the same time, you hold your base. You put yourself in a pretty decent position as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix Death is synced up with his Supernova coming off cooldown, so it's not even like that's an advantage enough for Final Tribe to go for an objective of their own. All they can really say is like, okay, we defended, we bought ourselves some time, but another pickoff on that Tiny, and the game is going to be effectively over. They need all 3 of their cores in these team fights to be able to have a chance in this game, so... Another Roshan. Can't give this one up.
Oh, maybe we'll see what they can do. They are playing around the area. Arrow goes... Oh, no, we're not there yet. Hold on. Wrong screen, guys. Arrow's about to go. Stampede being thrown here around the top rune. See if we can actually check out the team fight. There we go. Terrorize goes flying up. Mirana's already dead. It looks like they blew her up. Nice 2-man hoof stomp coming in from the Centaur, but the follow-up not quite there just yet. Being kited around a bit. The Cursed Crown, the Bramble Maze on the ground, just keeping everyone locked in place, as it does look like ferzee are going to fall back for Roshan. With TA Ursa, there's just so little you can do to stop this. You lose a hero, you're just out of place on the map, and it's very easy Roshing for ferzee.
They're like a low cooldown team for Final Tribe. I personally would have made the call to just buy back a Mirana and fight for that Roshan fight. You know, I was so certain that Final Tribe was like actually kind of outplaying ferzee in that time where they really wanted to fight and they were smoking. They weren't finding any actual engagements. They weren't finding good pickoffs. They ran into like Era a couple times, the Ogre. But again, I keep on going back to that 5 minutes. And after that 5 minutes had passed, TA it's gotten so big. And now ever since then, Final Tribe just feels like they are unable to take team fights.
Yeah. It felt like TFT were getting farm, but obviously that was not the case in terms of the level of farm TA is getting. TA is 12k net worth ahead of Pugna. Almost double the net worth of Tiny. This game isn't being won by kills or pushes from ferzee. It's just being straight up won by TA out-farming everyone in this game. For now at least. That obviously could become a problem now that TA is 6-slotted and doesn't really have much room to grow in terms of items, but as it stands, this gold discrepancy is just giving ferzee a huge advantage.
Centaur has a lot of really good synergy with Templar Assassin. You both kind of jump in, burst down heroes. The Stampede allows TA to go from, like, sometimes jumping in and falling just short of being able to kill a hero, but with the extra movement speed, you easily run down maybe one kill or even extra kills as a result. And then at this point, there's even more synergy. You're going to have the Aghanim Scepter that help covers some of the weaknesses of Templar Assassin, where she is threatened to be bursted down. You always want to try and get the initiation on the TA and then just throw all your damage into her. Now you've got that Stampede covering 40% of that damage, plus they're going to have a Refresher Shard for the Centaur as well. So 2 different instances of Stampede available in these what has been team fights that have been long and drawn out. So this is going to be yet another hill for a Final Tribe to have to climb if they hope to be able to win a team fight. And it looks like they just lost Jonas Abfan in that bottom lane.
He was in the trees, it looks like he just got caught out. The Orchid and Nullifier on cooldown, so those were apparently used to find that kill. but his first death of the game. His split push has been definitely annoying and caused problem for ferzee. It's just been the overall big picture of the game where TFT don't really seem to have an end game, at least not one that they're approaching right now. Jesse with BKB queued up following his AC will be a formidable carry if he can kind of catch up to the TA in terms of farm, but needs to be careful here in the mid lane. There's a couple enemy heroes here. They were smoked up and they'll just get the jump on him. Jesse getting brought low. There's no Necro Reaper. That's the good news. The bad news is he's still dead. And for 100 seconds. He bought back for that last defense, and suddenly 3 TFT heroes dead, and well, ferzee at their door. Ninja has the boots of travel, so he can push out this top lane and then TP on in if he wants to. So
I think they tried to kill Afo with 3 heroes or something.
Oh.
But he actually kills the ogre.
Oh.
And the other 2 had to TP
awful.
away. So there was a 3-man gank on both sides. Just one worked a lot better.
He's full health in Mahana, so it did not work well at all. Not sure what the plan was there as he now joins his team in the mid lane, focusing on this melee Rax. Pugna will be respawning fairly soon. Ogre buying back to make sure he's there for the defense. Hanskin just gets jumped on and brought down by Ninja, who's getting somewhat disabled in annoying ways here, but Supernova plan on the ground. They'll be able to protect this pretty nicely. The bodyguard's there, but at the same time, it's not going to really hit anyone. It just keeps TFT at bay, keeps them back near their tier 4s in the Fountain here as Necro, forced to Ghost Shroud up, still has to cheese, has plenty of ways to sustain himself and his team. And I imagine at this point, ferzee's just thinking, let's get these 2 lanes of Rax. Let's turn this decent lead into a considerable one that TFT is going to struggle to come back from. We don't need to force these fights. If we can just get the Rax here, this game is going to be very hard to lose.
Yeah, let's just guarantee that we're going to have a game 3 in our series. ferzee, just very crisp play. The fact that there is a support Ursa and Phoenix that was able to bring down the Tiny, that obviously says a lot of bad signs about Final Tribe's lineup and their viability being able to go any further in this game. Even as the Templar Assassin has maxed out, they just don't seem to be getting any real items on, like Mirana picked up a Lincoln's over the last like 20 minutes or something. That's not really a game-changing item. And that's mostly just because he hasn't gotten more and more farm. Jonas Vaughn did a really good job split pushing, so he got Dagon 1 and 2. Tiny's still working on that BKB that he was working on probably 5-8 minutes ago.
Do you feel like this was an outdraft now that we've seen the game play out?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm
don't know.
unsure.
I mean, there was so little effort in Final Tribe to shut down the Templar Assassin that, like, that obviously makes a world of difference. So I think it's very difficult to say if this draft is actually that bad versus ferzee's, or if they just really focused on the wrong things.
It feels like they've been almost like just passive bystanders this entire game. Like,
yeah.
They've just watched ferzee do their thing, and they're like, well, they're not, they're not pushing high ground, they're not threatening us, so let's just, play a passive game and let them get away with, TA things, which obviously at this point is looking like the complete wrong way to play the game. But maybe that is also just a draft thing, not having good TA answers. We'll see if they have a TA answer here. Chesago's jumping in, wants to go on Ninja, who's still got Refraction up. Okay, follow-up Terrorize doing a little bit, but not a whole lot. Frost in the front line's in trouble, forced to leap away. I think he's going to get caught out by that last right click. Ninja chased him down with it, as the Pugna Ward going to get focused now as well. So that's a dead Mirana. Ogre in the trees. Era shouldn't really have an escape here, and he bought back in that last fight. So this is a dieback for him, and that puts TFT down 2 members as they look to defend their last full lane of Rax up top. And that game 3 is looking almost certain at this point. This is not the kind of game like last where we could really see a Mega Creeps defense or comeback.
Yeah, Final Tribe is one of those teams that will always hold out into the end, but I'm sure they don't have a whole lot of hope in their heads in being able to win this final fight.
Cento went for the refresher hoof stomp there, although he didn't have any friends to help him out. It looks like Ninja was more interested in focusing on the Rax here. Great save. The TA gets brought into the Supernova. That's going to keep him alive, in fact, and that was a TA playing without an Aegis, so really nicely done by the Phoenix there. Not that I think it would have been the end of the world. TA could have bought back, and this game looked pretty over regardless, but they do so in style.
I wonder at what point Final Tribe went, oh shit, we're losing.
It didn't feel like we just like they were down 2K, 5K, 6, 7, 8K. And we're like, oh, are they losing? It didn't feel like it to us, and I don't think it did to TFT.
I like it was especially because like the early on when Templar Assassin started getting such a big lead over the rest of the team, they were at least still keeping net worth parity. So as a whole, like their cores were falling behind this one big Templar Assassin, but they were at least like keeping up with ferzee all around. And then that Templar, he's just to the moon. Look at that net worth go.
Yeah, he's like the polar opposite of the ogre he's flatlining down the bottom. He had 2K net worth the entire game.
He is DOA, dead on arrival. He did not make it into this game whatsoever.
Yeah, everything about this TA game was just complete, utter snowball and control. Not off of kills. Like I feel like that's normally you see a net worth graph in a performance like this. There's a lot of kills involved, unless it's like an alchemist or something, maybe an anti-mage, but. Here, like TA, you're expecting that to be like, okay, lots of racks is being claimed early on, using your Dota to push, getting tons of kills, like 10+ kills, but he just was farming. He was farming enemy ancients and just taking control of the entire enemy jungle, and I guess traps, split pushing side lanes maybe. Like we weren't really keeping tabs of everything he was doing.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't even because traps did get nerfed, and then he didn't go the level 20 talents, so he couldn't have picked up that much CS. From
you mean the damage
TA traps? Yeah.
He did get it. It's level 15. You get it. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. It's level 15.
He got the plus 200 damage. He didn't get the bonus traps at level 10.
Yeah,
but he did get the plus 200 damage.
Did he used to be level 20? Am I crazy on that for TA?
I don't know. Haven't played TA in quite some time.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Plus 200 damage at level 15. What? Why did I think it was level 20? That's weird.
I think it's always been 15, maybe.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Maybe I'm crazy. But yeah, it was such a weird game.
It was. It felt like both teams were in different Dota games, not competing against each other. It's like they were just playing like they were speed running Dota. Like who can speed run to end game faster just wins the game in a way. The way they were just kind of avoiding each other for large parts of the game.
All right, well, there's no way Final Tribe ever make that mistake against a Templar Assassin again, right?
Because unless they have like their own hard carry.
Yeah, they were definitely feeling like they were fine with the game. They were dodging these fights, and then all of a sudden this TA has too many items. They can't fight her. They are never going to not ward Ancients, not invade Ancient stacks against TA, not go for smoke ganks on that hero. Like, those are all your traditional plays to be able to keep a Templar Assassin down, and none of those plays were made or attempted even.
Yeah, pre-BKB, they have plenty of answers for the TA and ways to go on her. Like the damage over time, you have heroes like Dark Willow who can run in and not be afraid of a blinked SOTA because of Shadow Realm. So in theory, they should have done more. And like you said, probably just not have been afraid of that Aegis and fought into it. But we'll see. Game 3, it'll be different drafts. It'll be a different game. That's the beauty of Dota. Every game is different, unique in its own little way. So we're going to see what happens in Game 3 as we go to a quick